I have nothing to say, and I am saying it. Those words were spoken by one of my great heroes, John Cage, whose works of art as a musician, composer, artist, and whose perspectives on music and life are what I wish to discuss today, while highlighting a few key points, those being the structure in his music, the meaning of his works of art, and then intertwining that into how I use some of his perspectives in my own life in a way that's helped me, and how using those might help yourself as well. So, and before we go on, you might be wondering, this is kind of bizarre, right? That's, as you can see, I'm in a public space mall. It's kind of, we'll get to that in a minute. So, when we think of music, when we think in terms of music, we might think of composers such as, like in classical music, Mozart, Beethoven, Brahms, Bach, Debussy, or eclectic new genres of music such as Taylor Swift, 50 Cent, you name it. So we have all these different kinds of musicians, creators of what we call art, music. Oftentimes when we think of music, we think of it as an act of self-expression. In John Cage's case, he wished to use music as an act of self-alteration, with the key idea of being more open in the end to whatever outcome, such as what you see around me, comes out in our lives, expressing normal everyday life. So there are a few ways in which he kind of tried to emulate this, tried to create this. So one of them was his use of chance operations, his use of indeterminacy and mathematics, if you can believe that, in his compositions. So this often meant assigning variables in a set of music, what you might think of what to be used as musical tones or notes or harmonies or rhythms, assigned to chance, something as random as a roll of the dice. So what this meant to John Cage was when he composed a piece of music, oftentimes he didn't know what it was to sound like until after it was completed. Which brings us to my second point I would like to point out in his techniques. Techniques to create this form, this structure, to create this acceptance, alteration, rather than self-expression. And that was through the use of sounds in a different way. John Cage truly believed and expressed in his music that any and every sound is musical. In his own words, he said, "I love sounds just for how they are. I don't need them to be anything other than what they are." So when I say sounds, you might think musical tones, musical notes, right? You know, like a trumpet playing a melody or something, but which he often used these kind of still same musical concepts from before, but oftentimes we also see the use of, when I say sounds, I mean any sounds. So this, along with the use of indeterminacy and chance, he tried to push the boundaries of what we consider music, tried to push boundaries and take chances, as I'm taking now. I'm taking the chance of the indeterminacy of my audience, the indeterminacy of this camera angle. It's all shaky and random, and I'm in a public area, and I know for certain that I've had audience members, at least 8 of them, adults, you name it, all ages. But I'm taking a chance in that. It's very much based on chance. And what that helps allow me to do, as in John Cage's words, he wished to point out the ability to use chance in his music-making process gave him the opportunity to, in his own words, divorce himself from his dislikes, meaning that he didn't necessarily have to make choices based on, oh, I find this more musical than this to be more musical. So when I say all sounds, he might find any and every sound in this room and all along in this mall, this very active place, anything to be musical. Hear that? That banging, for instance, down there. I didn't know that was going to happen. Coincidence? I don't know. But John Cage, through example, right now what I'm doing is showing how John Cage might look at the world around me, which, in closing, still going, still banging down there. So in closing, what I feel like this helps me do, how this helps me, is it helps me look at the world in a different way, try to see the beauty in the world around me, to, in short, when life gives me lemons, when times are hard, when life is hard, try to make lemonade or just have lemons. So, in closing, I have nothing to say, and I am saying it. And I leave you with this beautiful piece of art, just for how it is.